She was not breathing. Not the way someone breathes when they are sleeping. This was different. This was the breathing of someone who had fought a long battle and lost most of it. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and silence. A Bible sat on the bedside table unopened. Her phone screen, cracked at the corner, showed 17 missed calls, all from Mama. She was 22 years old, and she had already lived a lifetime of consequences. But to understand how Temiloluwa Adeyemi ended up in that bed, we have to go back, all the way back, to a Sunday morning in Surulere, to the smell of jollof rice and the sound of a father's prayers. Before we continue this powerful story, please take a moment to subscribe to Storytelling with Abby, turn on your notifications, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. Your support is what keeps these stories alive. Now, let us go back to where it all began. Elder Adeyemi was not a wealthy man by the world's standards. But inside that modest compound in Surulere, there was a richness that money could not manufacture. He rose every morning at 5 o'clock. Before his wife woke, before the street outside began to stir, he would kneel beside his bed and he would call his daughter's name to God. Temiloluwa, the Lord is my own wealth. That was what her name meant, and he believed it with everything in him. His wife, Mama Temi, was a seamstress who ran her shop from the front room of their house. She was the kind of woman who could stretch a small income into a feast. Every Sunday, without fail, she made jollof rice, the kind that smelled like love. And as she stirred the pot, she would call Temi into the kitchen and tell her the same thing. My daughter, beauty will open doors, but character will keep you inside the room. Do not forget that. Temi would nod. She always nodded. But even then, even as a young girl, her eyes drifted through the window towards something she could not name yet, something louder than what she had. She was an excellent student. That much was never in question. When her JAMB results came in and she had scored high enough for Unilag, her father wept openly in the sitting room. Her mother ululated so loudly that the neighbors came to the fence to ask what had happened. They bought her a small box of provisions. Her father tucked an envelope into her hand the morning she left. There's enough here for your fees and your feeding for the semester, he said. Use it wisely, my daughter. Remember who you are. Remember whose you are. Temi hugged him and said, Yes, Daddy. She meant it. In that moment, she truly meant it. But Temi had been assigned to room 14 of the female hostel, and room 14 had 3 occupants who were about to change everything. Chisom was from Lekki. Her father owned 3 filling stations, and she carried herself like she owned the entire university. Farida was from Abuja, quiet, calculating, always watching. Blessing was from Port Harcourt, and she laughed at everything, even things that weren't funny. None of them attended class with any seriousness, but they had things that Temi had never seen up close before. New iPhones, not last year's model, the newest one every semester. Perfumes that lingered in the room long after they had left. Clothes with names on the labels that Temi had only ever seen in magazines. And money. Always, always money. Temi watched them from her corner of the room, eating her gari, doing her assignments, telling herself she didn't care, telling herself she was focused. But covetousness is a quiet thief. It doesn't kick down the door. It sits beside you on the bed. It borrows your charger and compliments your skin. It asks you questions that sound like kindness but are actually seeds. Temi, why are you managing? Chisom said one evening, watching Temi sort her provisions. You're too fine to be suffering like this. I'm not suffering, Temi said. Chisom smiled, the kind of smile that people smile when they already know the ending of your story. Not yet, she said. It started with borrowed clothes. Chisom offered Temi a dress for a faculty dinner. Just a dinner, she said. You look so good. Temi wore it and felt something shift inside her. The way people looked at her differently. The way a senior student stopped and asked for her name. The way she stood a little taller in the mirror. That feeling, that was the first hook. Then came the nights out. Just once, they said. Just to see. Lagos has a nightlife that will make a serious girl forget her own name if she is not careful. And Temi was not careful enough. Then Chisom introduced her to Kachi. Kachi was not a student. He was older, somewhere in his late 30s, always well dressed, always arriving in a car with a driver. He smiled at Temi the first time they met and said, "This one is different." He just likes to take care of girls, Chisom explained later. No strings. He's generous, he has money, and he's lonely. That's all. There are always strings. Always. But when you are 20 years old and someone is placing a brand new iPhone in your hand and telling you that you deserve nice things, the strings become invisible. Within 3 months, Temi had a phone she didn't buy, a bag she couldn't explain. She stopped going to church on Sunday mornings. She called home less. When she did call, she laughed too loudly, the way people laugh when they are performing happiness for someone who knows them too well. Her mother noticed. "Temi, are you okay? You sound different." "Mama, I'm fine. I'm just busy with school." She was not fine. She was disappearing, one small choice at a time. By her second year, Temi understood fully what the arrangement was, what Chisom had brought her into, what Kachi expected in return for the bags and the money and the hotel dinners. And here is the part of the story that is hardest to tell, because Temi was not a foolish girl. She was not naive. She knew. She chose. She told herself she was in control, that she was doing it temporarily, that she would stop when she had saved enough, that she was smarter than the girls who got hurt. She was not smarter, she was just newer. The months blurred together. Hotel lobbies, group chats full of men with money and demands, trips she couldn't post honestly on Instagram, lies she had to remember, a version of herself that smiled at everything and felt nothing. And underneath it all, growing quietly, the exhaustion. Not the tiredness of hard work, the other kind, the kind that comes from living a life that doesn't belong to you. Back in Surulere, her father stopped eating full meals. He sat at the dining table in the evenings and pushed his food around. Her mother would watch him and say nothing, because there were no words for what they were both feeling. They had raised her in the way of God. They had prayed, they had sacrificed, they had given her everything they had. And something had happened to their daughter that they could not see and could not fix. One evening, her mother found her father in the sitting room with Temi's childhood Bible in his hands, the one he had inscribed on the first page when she was born. She looked over his shoulder and read the words he had written all those years ago. "Temiloluwa, the Lord is my own wealth. You were never mine to keep, only mine to raise for God." He looked up. His eyes were dry, but broken the way eyes look when someone has been crying for so long they have run out of tears. Where did I lose her? He asked. His wife sat beside him and took his hand. She didn't answer. Because a good home cannot force a child to choose what is right. It can only plant the seed and pray that when the storm comes, the roots hold. Sometimes the roots hold. Sometimes the child has to fall very far before they remember where home is. It was a Tuesday morning in October. Temi had been feeling unwell for months, losing weight in ways she couldn't explain, tired in ways that sleep never fixed. She had told herself it was stress. She had told herself it was nothing. She went to the clinic alone. She didn't tell anyone she was going. She sat in a plastic chair in a white hallway and waited. She scrolled her phone without reading anything. She watched a nurse walk by with a tray. She looked at the ceiling. The doctor called her name. She sat across from him and he looked at her file for a moment before he looked at her. Miss Adeyemi, your results are back. She met his eyes. And in that moment, before a single word was spoken, her spirit already knew. Something deep inside her had known for weeks, but she had not been willing to listen. He said the words, HIV positive. The room did not spin. It did not go dark. It simply went quiet. The kind of quiet that is not peaceful, the kind that is total, where you can hear your own breath and it sounds like a stranger's. She walked out of that clinic and sat down on the front steps. She did not cry. She sat very still while the world moved around her. Cars, people, noise. Sunday life continuing as though nothing had happened. As though the ground had not just opened up beneath her. She picked up her phone. She scrolled past Chisom's name, past Farida, past Blessing, past Kachi. Because in the moment when everything collapsed, she understood something she had been refusing to understand for 2 years. These people were not her friends. There was no one in that life who would sit with her in a hospital. No one who would hold her hand. She had been surrounded by people and she was completely, absolutely alone. She found her mother's name. She pressed call. It rang twice. Temi? And that was all it took. Just the sound of her mother's voice saying her name. The same voice that had called her in from the street as a child. The same voice that had sung over her when she was sick. The same voice she had been running from for 2 years. Temi opened her mouth and she wept. Her mother came to Lagos the next morning. She didn't ask questions on the phone. She didn't demand explanations. She simply said, I am coming. Don't go anywhere. And she came. When Temi told her everything, sitting in that small room, shaking her mother did not flinch. She did not shout. She did not say, I told you so, which she had every right to say. She reached across and held both of Temi's hands in hers. You are still my daughter, she said. You hear me? You are still my daughter. We will face this together. When her father came to Lagos that weekend and saw Temi for the first time in months thinner, quieter, broken, he stopped at the door of the room and looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, Thank God, my daughter is home. Not where have you been? Not what have you done? Not how could you? Just thank God, my daughter is home. That is what a praying parent looks like. They do not stop at their anger. They do not make their love conditional. They keep the light on and they keep their arms open and they trust God with the part that belongs to God. Temi began treatment. HIV when it is caught early and managed with proper care, is not the death sentence the world once believed it to be. Her parents made sure she had access to everything she needed. They sat beside her at every appointment. Her father prayed out loud in the hospital corridor, not caring who heard him. She withdrew from university that semester. She went home. She slept in her childhood bedroom with the thin curtains and the small fan and the Bible on the shelf that still had her name written inside. She picked it up one night and began to read. And slowly, not quickly, not in a moment, but slowly, the way a broken bone heals, she began to find her way back to herself. 2 years later, Temiloluwa Adeyemi stood at the front of a church hall in Lagos. 300 university girls sat before her. She had been invited by a campus outreach group to speak. She had said yes without hesitation. She did not prepare a speech. She simply told the truth. I came from a good home, she said. I had a father who prayed for me every single morning before the sun rose. A mother who taught me that character is everything. I had love and safety and a foundation. I had everything. The hall was quiet, and I walked away from it. Not because I was forced, not because I was tricked in the beginning, because I was covetous, because I looked at what someone else had and I decided that what I had at home was not enough. I let that lie take root in me, and I paid for it with my health, my time, and years of my life that I will never get back. A girl in the third row began to cry. Then another, then another. I am not telling you this for your pity, Temi continued. I am telling you this because the girl you are envying right now, the one with the bag and the money she cannot explain, and the lifestyle that doesn't make sense for a student, she might be exactly where I was. And the price she is paying, you cannot see it yet, but it is real, and it will come due. She paused. Go home, call your mother, choose the life that was built for you. The fast life is not fast. It is a slow burial with a beautiful entrance. Temi did not get back everything she lost. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed. Some seasons of a life, once spent, cannot be recovered. But she got back the thing that matters most. She got back herself. And she's using the story that once shamed her to protect girls who are standing right where she once stood at the entrance of a door that looked like gold and led somewhere dark. If you are watching this today and you are living a life that looks beautiful on the outside and is quietly destroying you on the inside, hear this. It is not too late to come home. The light is still on. The table is still set. The parents who prayed for you are still praying. And the God who saw every secret room you walked into is the same God who will receive you the moment you turn around. You are not too far. You are never too far. So tell me in the comments, have you ever been in a season where you almost lost yourself entirely? What brought you back? And if this story moved you, share it tonight. One share could be the warning that saves someone's life. Thank you for watching Storytelling with Abby, where every story is a reminder that God has not forgotten you.